Seems like it might be working this time. Let's see.
Yeah, I think this meeting is being
Yeah,
still,
like
yeah.
okay. Yeah. Hey guys, welcome to today's Meshery Development Meet. Today is 1st of October 2025. We conduct this meet every Wednesdays. For more information about the the meets that we conduct, go to LayFi calendar. As you can see, every Monday we have weekly websites meet. Every Wednesday we have Meshery Development Meet, which is today, and every Thursdays we have newcomers meet. And this week is a little special for us. We'll be conducting a Hacktoberfest meet. It'll be a kickoff event for a Hacktoberfest event. So please feel free to join us on that day, and we'll also be talking about this more in the upcoming minutes. To start off with, let me share the link of the calendar in Zoom chat. Yeah, to start off the meet today, Meshery, what is Meshery? Meshery is a CNCF Sandbox project, which is the CNCF Sandbox project, which is the ninth fast growing community according to CNCF. And it's also, we're closing up to 9,000 members in our community. So pretty big community that we have. So for more information about the about Meshery, please go to docs.meshery.io. Please make docs your best friend. Before we start, we follow CNCF code of conduct, so please be respectful to each other, be kind to each other. And also, you can start off with adding your names in the attendance list here. If you cannot access the docs, I'll share the link in the chat. And if we have any newcomers here, we can dedicate the next few seconds in introducing yourself. I don't see any newcomers here, so if you've joined and if you want to introduce yourself, please feel free to introduce yourself in the chat here or in Slack. Anyways, yeah, and also please add your agenda items in the topics here. All right, starting off with the standing agenda items. Do we have Matthew today?
I don't think so. I think both Matthew and Ian are not
Okay,
on the call.
right. Lee, would you like to talk about this, or should we
No, I
skip?
think we can skip. If you want to go for it, like the CLI items, yeah.
I mean, yeah, I think we can skip this and talk about Hacktoberfest because we are having it in 2 days. So, Ritesh, would you like to talk about Hacktoberfest?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Sharing my screen. So we have created, just a second. Yeah, so we have created about 147 issues for now. And I have listed the issues by author here, and I will be doing it for other authors as well. So majorly the issues for now are for like design and the model catalog. And maybe we have to, after this gets closed, we will have to work on creating more issues maybe for other areas. And yeah, that's all from my side.
Yeah. Again, we're having the kickoff event this Friday of October 3rd. Please go to the LayFi calendar, click on the link here and join us. We'll also be sending the link in the Slack channels. So please do join us on Friday. Yeah, and let's start with the topics for today. Abid, would you like to share your screen?
Yeah.
While we wait, what's the topic? Yeah, so Darshan, you're going to need to.
I think there's a network issue from Abid. He's not visible actually. I don't think he's in the meeting. He just left. We can move on to the next topic, which is mine actually, Hacktoberfest issues. Let me share my screen. Right, so anybody who wants to contribute to Hacktoberfest, you can go to the issue section in GitHub. Like seen here, we have the tags called Hacktoberfest for each issues. You can click on any of these and then please read the instructions. It's clear, and then do your contribution, and yeah, that'll be your Hacktoberfest issue contribution. There's a lot of them already being assigned, so before it runs out, please go ahead and ask for assignment. Abu Bakr, I think you're next. Could you share your screen?
Yes, sure. 1 second. Is my screen visible?
Yeah, it's visible.
We go to the PR. So the main focus of this particular PR is to deploy only the required workloads when we start the Meshery through the CTL. Because currently, when we try to start the Meshery, right, if the platform is Kubernetes, what happens is that both the Meshery server that is bundled with the UI and the operators are both getting deployed. So if we wanted out of cluster deployment, right? We don't need that Meshery server inside our cluster. So that so I have created a issue and I have made the changes for those. So currently, if we if we pass the flag as component, we'll be able to pass in the variables like Meshery, comma operator, which means if we pass operator right, only the operator will be deployed into our target cluster. So Meshery will not be automatically deployed. So we can control what is deployed into our cluster. So this is a PR. Lee, do I need to go through the code or is this okay?
No, you don't. You need to rename yourself inside of Zoom like you were asked last week. So you're called somebody's office.
Yeah. Like I haven't signed it, so I think that's why it's showing us to the office.
Yeah, you don't need to explain it to me. You need to change your name. Otherwise, I'll
Sure.
call you Mr. Office. Mr. Office, no, you don't need to go through the code. I mean, you had a week to figure it out, right? Mr. Office. Right, Mr. No.
In chat we discussed and the Nikita suggested few flags, like names of the flags. She asked me to go with entities, but you said we need a robust thinking of what.
Mr. Office, I'm not talking about the PR. I'm talking about your name in the Zoom chat. That's what I'm talking about. You don't need to go through the code in your PR because you need to get agreement on whether or not it's the right thing to do here. The first question to ask is, does mesh config support the components that you're looking for it to support?
I couldn't understand what you have said.
Yep. Could you not hear me, or you don't understand
Yeah,
what
I
I'm
could
talking?
hear you. Yeah, I could hear you, but I couldn't understand what you're saying.
Yep. What's a mesh config? Is that the part you don't understand? Which part don't you understand? I mean, this is your issue, right? So
yeah, mesh config is where our providers will be. Am I right?
Sure. Kind of. What else is in there?
Um,
How do you describe a Meshery deployment? Using Meshery CTL, how do you describe a Meshery deployment?
like what we like it's like a dip, uh, like I couldn't explain it properly. But when we like do a system start, right, it will deploy what are the components that we need to run a Meshery into a cluster.
Okay, you didn't answer my question, but okay. So the reason that I'm asking this is because you can't propose a new feature until you understand the current functionality of the CLI. Do you see the conundrum?
Yeah.
So when you run Meshery CTL system start for the very first time ever on a new system, what happens?
It will go and see through the config.yaml file and see which provider is in the local.
Good. And
So
it's not which provider. That is correct. It looks to the config.yaml. The config.yaml, we proverbially refer to that file as mesh config, just like you would refer to cube config. Cube config is stored in a file called config. Meshery CTL's configuration is stored in a file called config.yaml. It has the extension on it. The contexts that you will find inside of the config.yaml, they describe a number of things. You're saying that they describe a provider. I think the provider is now an option in there, but they describe a number of things. So you can have one or more contexts, and you can have one or more tokens. Those are the top level constructs. Do you want to open up a mesh config so that you can be on the same page and you can propose new functionality? It'll be in your user folder. Nice. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, so there are two top level constructs. What are those?
One is like we have tokens. We have another one is like we can have multiple contexts like local or some cloud or something like that. And inside the local, we have which platforms
Wait.
the version of the
Just answered the question directly. You started off correctly. There are two constructs, top level constructs inside of this file, inside of this configuration file. This configuration file, by the way, is for Meshery CLI, Meshery CTL. It's the only component that uses this. This is the configuration file for Meshery CTL to do things. What's Meshery CTL's primary purpose is to manage Meshery deployments. If you look at the series of commands, the system command, it's the largest by far, and that deals with controlling Meshery deployment. So you're absolutely in the right place. Like you're talking about how to augment and enhance the experience of deploying a Meshery server and what components you want to have available. So that's an excellent conversation to have about Meshery CTL. And the way that, like you were saying, the way that it behaves is when it goes, every time that you invoke a command, it references this file. It references the current context that you have set. If you don't have one set, or if this file is absent, it will create one for you. I think it usually asks you if you want for the CLI to create this file for you. And it has a few default settings. And so one of the properties, and the one that you're pointing out, is I think one that's missing from this example. And it should be called components. Have you
Yeah.
seen that?
Yeah, I can see.
Yeah, nice. And so that's the piece that you're honing in on, that you're identifying as potentially an area to expound on and allow people to control via a flag, right? Which components you'd like to deploy. Nice. My initial response when you invoked my name on the call, I just said, hey, we want to confirm that mesh config supports this functionality. So you want, like, before we add a flag, we want to make sure that the file that controls, that defines and describes a particular Meshery deployment, which is each individual context, each context inside of the config.yaml, it describes a Meshery deployment. Part of what you're highlighting, which is very appropriate, is like, well, for each and every Kubernetes system that I connect Meshery to, I don't necessarily want Meshery server to be installed or necessarily Meshery operator. I kind of want to mix and match sometimes. It depends on what I'm doing. And so I'd like to have the convenience of controlling that from the using flags. Great, that makes sense to me. Before we have flags, we need to have like the ability to define these components in the config file, in the context. And Meshery CLI does support that today. We didn't see an example of that in your config. But that's where you want to start. Also, the design spec that I pointed out for how Meshery CLI might support multiple Kubernetes clusters is relevant because the use case that you're chasing down is that you have multiple clusters. Some clusters you want to treat differently than others, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so did you so you need to digest that design spec in context of what you're trying to do here, because it isn't, because there's a whole nother concept that isn't actually covered inside of the kube config, and it's many Kubernetes clusters, like Kubernetes contexts. It's aligning Kubernetes contexts to your Meshery contexts, your Meshery CTL context.
Okay, sure. So I will like go through the design specs again, and I will like start from where you said to make start from to support that flag on the config.yaml file.
Yeah, it is the property on the, but before you, I don't mean to send you off so that you have like another week's worth trying to figure something out. I want to help you as much as possible.
Sure.
You do need, have you explored Meshery adapters? Think that, can you run Meshery CTL and just hit enter? There are, in terms of commands that you'll find, if you, so there's a top level adapter command. Okay, interesting. Adapters are components. There's a top level component command. What the heck? And then there's a top level system command. Okay. And so in terms of like, yeah, so you need to be clear on what the differences between those are, because this functionality that you're proposing could potentially, sounds like it could go into any of these inside the component command, the adapter command, or the system command. And
Not sure. It will not work for the other commands.
say it again, or say more. Or...
So the changes that I made, right, currently work only for start, system start, and system stop. It will not work for any other high level commands. like
Yeah,
adapters complete.
right, which is in part why I'm stopping your PR, which is in part why I'm saying I don't think you're considering it holistically. So why wouldn't it go into the other commands?
I haven't explored the other commands, but after like seeing, right, like it can be used up. And nowadays, I got the idea of that can be used across all the high level commands. So we can think differently, like to pass in the flag to whatever the commands it is capable of being passed. So we can control it across every command.
Yeah, you're still not really getting what I'm saying. It's not appropriate for the component command. As a matter of fact, the component command is something totally different. It's about models and Meshery components. So model components. So it's not appropriate there. It could be appropriate for adapter. Adapter,
Yeah.
that term can be made generic and be called component. The thing about the adapter command and what it does is it deploys, it invokes operations against adapters. It doesn't actually deploy the adapters. So that ends up being not quite appropriate. It's really the system command is where this would land. So before you get concerned with flags, make sure that Meshery operator is supported and Meshery server is supported as individual components that you can specify inside of the context. That's your initial point of control. Once that is done, that you can like inside of the components stanza in your, go back into your mesh config for a minute, into your config.yaml, create a component stanza. Perfect. And then that hit a line return if you would, and a hyphen. Yeah, do me a favor and hit enter. You're going like hyphen server. Right now, you can do hyphen the name of an adapter, like Meshery hyphen Istio. And it should, that should work, like right now. And I think your proposal, if you tweak it slightly, your proposal would be to add server and operator as additional component types that Meshery CLI would be aware of and honor.
Okay, understood. So if we have those components right over here, the system command will be automatically able to like detect what's needed to be installed, and this is where I should start making change. Is that what it is?
That's my, I mean, you know, does anybody else have a different perspective?
I think I like makes sense like using from like basically not using values.yaml, but the mesh config for specifying which components to have for their deployment. It makes sense. Yeah, in future we might then have like inside system or as a component command where we might be like on the fly deploy and undeploy these or manage them. But I think right now makes sense to have it here. And even then it would be probably like tied to this, but yeah.
Other people might have other perspectives, or some of you might be in the process of forming your perspectives. So to help you with that, something just to be clear, Abu Bakr, if you if you removed server and operator just for the moment, and you put Meshery hyphen Istio, which is the name of an adapter, does Meshery CTL support this today? So I think that I was pointing this out, I think previously when you were having a discussion. Do you want to just run? Well, it didn't complain about it. It looks like it's deploying Meshery on Kubernetes. I guess the question is, if you were to open a separate command line, and you were to get the pods inside of the Meshery namespace, maybe. I guess the question is, does it, do you see the Meshery Istio adapter? And that would answer the question.
I couldn't hear you.
Is it me? Could other people not hear me?
I think the problem is with my internet. I think so. It's a little bit slow. Everyone is like voice is like bit low.
Is my voice low?
You're audible, yeah. Yes, you are.
Yeah, you're fine.
Yep. Abu Bakr, I'm not. You can rewatch the live stream, rewatch the recording, hear what I had said. What I'm saying is, I'm just trying to help prove it out and walk through it slowly, is that we already support the functionality that you're looking for. Add server and operator to those stanzas, and that will help. It still won't be, that will help, and then you could potentially expose those as the components property as a flag on the system start and stop. You have to support it on restart as well. System start and stop isn't going to be the natural thing that people, I would submit to you all that system start and stop isn't necessarily what I would think of if I'm going to if I've got Meshery server deployed, and my Meshery server deployment is inside of one Kubernetes cluster. I'd like to add a second Kubernetes cluster under management. So one of the primary use cases for what you're attempting to do, Mr. Office, is to deploy the Meshery operator to a second cluster or a third cluster and bring that cluster under management. Is there a different use case that you're chasing after other than the one I just said?
No. What you said is that what I'm looking for. Don't want to install unnecessary things into another cluster. Just deploy what we need.
Okay, good. Man, that was confusing. What did you say? What is it is what I don't know. Anyway, a simple yes would have been like very clear. Yep, that's the use case you're looking for. Great. So outside of this work that we talked about with adding server and operator as supported components, first inside of the config.yaml, second exposed as flags, third is that we're still going to face this outstanding challenge of, at least in my opinion, if I was going to add a secondary or a tertiary cluster to bring them under management of an existing Meshery deployment, I would not go to system start.
Yeah.
That is not where my mind thinks that like, oh, I need to deploy the operator. Let me go to system start. No. Moreover, if I'm managing my Meshery deployment in a context, that's how I manage them with Meshery CLI. I might be using Helm separately. Maybe I'm not using Meshery CLI, but if I am using Meshery CLI, I describe my Meshery deployment in that context. I'm going to be very nervous if I have a Meshery deployment inside of a Kubernetes cluster already, and I think like, oh, hey, okay, what I want to do is deploy just the operator to a different cluster. That way, they can both be under management. Let me go over to my existing context, add or remove components, then change my kube config to use a different kube config context so that my Meshery CTL command uses the other context for my second cluster. Then I'm going to run some system start or stop or something. I'm nervous. I'm very nervous that my existing deployment in the first cluster is going to get messed up somehow, or like after I'm done performing that operation to just deploy the operator to my second Kubernetes cluster, if I forget to go back to my Meshery context and re-add server as a component, if I don't go do that, as soon as I switch back my my cube config back to my original context, my first cluster, if I run a system start or stop command, like it's going to get confused. I'm going to start and stop my server or uninstall my server or install it. And like, we're not setting up the users well to be able to manage things ongoing. That's why there's a separate spec called supporting multiple Kubernetes clusters in Meshery CLI. By and large, I don't think that you're barking up the right tree here. Like, it's a good use case. It's a use case that has been considered previously and should be addressed. And the way that it needs to be addressed is that Meshery contexts need to become aware of the fact that there are one or more Kubernetes clusters, because you want to describe which clusters I have and which clusters should get which components. Did I walk through that slowly, Mr. Office? Could you hear me?
Yeah, I could hear you.
Am I off base? Because I totally could be.
No. Like what you said is like I haven't explored that much like to get do this. So what you said is like correct. Seems good to me.
Yeah. Now, with that said, and I hope Babali or Abid or Darshan or anybody else on the call, as soon as I stop talking, like I hope everybody else has a bunch of opinions, because it's just one brain that I have, and it sees it from one perspective, and it's hard for that brain to see it from other perspectives. So we collectively really need other vantage points, other perspectives. Please beat up what I'm saying. We won't have a good tool if no one beats it up. I'll offer one other thought. Yeah, okay. So I heard what you said. So I'll try to play the antagonist, right? I heard what you said, Lee. Gosh, that sounds like Darshan. We just don't. What else do we have to discuss, Darshan? Is there something else that we need to spend the time on? It's like I don't know.
Purchase some. Yeah.
I mean, for the time, Ritesh already did announce Hacktoberfest. You're going to cover the same issues that he just covered in the spreadsheet. I don't know what the difference is between your guys' stuff. So, so the time check I'm ignoring is what I'm saying. It's like, but I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Like, so to play devil's advocate there, it's like, yeah, Leah, I was just looking for the ability to deploy an operator to another cluster. We want to bring, many clusters under Meshery's management. Like this is just, a relatively small item, like deploy an operator. Geez, you can use Helm for that. Good, and Babali's been helping enhance that area. But if my tool of choice though is Meshery CLI, it's the project's tool for managing Meshery deployments, like you just said that. So why can't I just do a simple, use case of like deploying the operator? Like, there might need, we could potentially support an ad hoc, like deployment. It wouldn't be under system start. Like it just doesn't like, yeah. I mean, like if Babali says some flag, it's like, yeah. And then we're almost back to where Mr. Office has us, which is like, oh, some flag like on the system start. Well, it's like, I don't know. Like, I don't think system start is like, I don't, anyway.
Do we like have like individual commands like to deploy the components ad hoc, like Meshery component server deploy, and then maybe that would take or like operator deploy, then it would take the Kubernetes cluster ID or something.
So, yeah, just something. Seems like I forgot what I was going to say. There was something else that was insightful. Now I forgot. It was worth hearing. Shoot, I don't know, but yeah, there's some clarification. We don't have any CLI maintainers on the call right now. And like what needs to happen is someone needs to clarify what the adapters are used for. The components, I never really thought was a great command to expose top level. It's confusing, it's generic. It really needs to go under model. because that's what they belong to. Because when I say the word component just now, everybody's confused that I said component and it needs to go under model. And you're like, what? I thought we were talking about adapters and servers and operators, those types of components, not model components. And most of you still don't understand maybe what I'm saying when I say model components. That's too bad.
I think we also have a, like the model is top level command. Like, should that go into registry or should it stay top level?
Yeah, sure.
Mhm.
Yeah. So yeah, whatever we're doing, like we just need to invoke
Yeah.
Helm to,
Yeah.
and the existing commands should be invoking Helm. There are deploy commands. The adapter command, it has deploy as its, you know, I think Nikita was suggesting, oh, maybe there's a deploy flag or a remove flag underneath the system start command. And that just like seems weird. If there used to be an apply command or
Yeah.
so
The pattern apply, I think, yeah.
the reality is like deploying an operator, Meshery could be doing it using one of its own designs. It's just a, and so yeah, Meshery CTL design apply. There, you just point to the operator chart, the operator subchart, the operator chart, and that's it. There you have it. Anyway, that's, yeah, I'll be quiet.
But yeah, Abid, would you like to go next?
Yeah, actually, let me tell, like, if my Zoom
Yeah,
crashes,
but
then yeah, then go
guys,
ahead.
what's Mr. Office supposed to do though? Because we spent time last week, we spent time in the chat, we spent most of today, and I have extremely low confidence that he would get anything done between now and next week, that he knows what he's supposed to do. Does anybody, probably, anybody got a perspective? Abu Bakr, Mr. Office, what are you gonna do?
Like I will go through the design specs again. Like I will try to like implement what is it, like having a like a different property in the config file, so that will be a starting point, and also like work on what, like see if we can pass the same flag for adapters, and like what are the high level commands that we can pass this flags to.
Like one thing that I was thinking like was like as we discussed, like this actually, like the way to benefit from this is like if we can get like the Kubernetes clusters under management using Meshery CTL. So I'm not sure, but like I'm proposing maybe like we should start from there, like first like trying to get Meshery CTL and mesh config aware of like the Kubernetes clusters to manage, and after that then kind of having these components like property on individual Kubernetes cluster to what like deploy on each cluster and how to manage them.
But so Bob is going to jump. I agree,
Yeah.
which is points back to the design spec that we have now. It says what's managed and unmanaged, and then I would say, and that we should shove off for a few releases. It's not that important. What people can have right now, today, in this moment, they can use Meshery CTL to deploy the operator. Meshery CTL design, point to the design that has the operator, deploy it. And that will suffice as instructions for people through post 1.0 until we get other much more important things done. You can already, the Meshery server and Meshery UI already facilitate this. You can go add any number of Kubernetes contexts through the UI, and they will install the operator for you, just the operator. So, you know, Like there's a number of ways to do this. You can use Helm as the individual chart. You can use a design with Meshery CTL to do it.
Yeah.
You can use the UI to do it. Like the way of doing it correctly in Meshery CTL is a big thing about like defining not just the Kubernetes connection, but subtypes of that connection, whether or not it's managed or unmanaged. It deploys just the server, just the operator, or both. That's what that design spec covers. Yeah, go ahead, Pavli.
Yeah, just to outline how we can do it programmatically, as I have seen from the code, when Meshery control invoked, it deploys both charts, Meshery and Meshery operator, in the .config manifests folder or directory. It deploys the charts as the tar files, package them and deploy them. Then it using Helm, it's installing both charts. So maybe in this case, we need to install both charts on the main cluster, and just an outline, like we need to change kube config or a kube context to the other cluster and deploy only, let's say, the operator chart. Just an outline. So this is the sequence of doing it. Kube control, let's say, or config change set context. Then after that, Helm install the operator standalone, Helm chart.
So that's basically like what happens when like you do it from UI. So like basically when Meshery connects with a new Kubernetes cluster and we deploy it. I think then probably like this is not like absolute, but I think probably then we shouldn't be doing anything much right now and just like point to the like design, like document a way, like basically like document how we can deploy the operator from Meshery CTL using an existing design and like just basically document it and maybe do the other things in future.
Yeah, I mean, it could just be like a flag called skip server or no server or something, just to, avoid the, like, it's just not one of these problems that we should go spend our time on making sure mesh sync, like getting off of SQLite and onto Postgres or like any number of other roadmap items.
Yeah.
I mean, really, like what Bobby just said is like, hey, no biggie. If somebody's managing Kubernetes and we're going to be using Helm charts and stuff, they probably got Helm CLI. They can just use the Helm to, like, people aren't beating down our door to complaining that they can't use Meshery CTL to install operators every which way. They should probably.
What I meant,
yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. Yeah, what I meant, they can be done through Golang code. These steps, under, let's say, a certain flag, invoking Meshery control certain flag. These steps that can be done in Golang, easily. Changing the kube control context, then installing just the operator on the other cluster.
Sean.
Yep. Moving on to the next issue. Abid, would you like to share your screen?
Yeah, let me try.
Yeah, it's visible.
Yes, I'm okay. Can you still see my screen?
Yeah, we can see.
Okay, yeah, good. So I was going to talk about one of the recent issues that we were facing regarding how we were interacting with the remote provider. So Meshery can be like connected to any of the remote providers. There's a defined schema how you can like define a remote provider and what kind of like capabilities it has. And so what the capabilities are, these are kind of a contract between your Meshery server and the remote provider. So you can know like what kind of functionality the remote provider facilitates and how you can actually communicate with the remote provider. So Meshery knows about us, like exposes certain flags like that you can like then implement in your remote provider, and then in using the capabilities that your remote provider defines and then communicates with Meshery server, you can actually then like further communicate with Meshery server and like leverage the functionalities and features that the remote provider has implemented. So one of the recent issues that we were facing is like, because it's kind of like once you boot up your Meshery server, it tries to reach to the remote provider that you had selected and tries to basically fetch these capabilities, so it would know what to do with the remote provider. But that was only done at the boot time. So if one of the issues that would happen, like if at the boot time you were not able to like fetch these, then you won't be able to do much with your Meshery server, and it would be in a broken state. You won't be able to do anything with it. And the another thing was like this, like at first the capabilities were fetched at boot time, and the next time that they were fetched was at login time. But because you were already like kind of in a broken state when you were not able to fetch at boot time, you won't be able to log in or log out also. So that was not able, like you won't be able to refresh it. And also the issue was like if you were like kind of like authenticating with your provider and like authenticating in Meshery, and at that time you the like say the remote provider didn't like supply the capabilities, your whole Meshery server again break, because it would just corrupt the state of the capabilities cache. So so would again be in a complete broken state and you won't be able to kind of recover. So inside this PR, so I'm just trying to like add some enhancements, so we are kind of like properly like updating these capabilities inside your Meshery server, and we're not completely breaking, and we have a way to recover. So one of the things right now is a pretty much simple thing is like, rather than just like interacting with the cache, I have added some getter function. So whenever you interact with the cache, the locally stored capabilities, we see like if they are available. If they are not available, we try to again to fetch. So now it's not only on the boot time, but also like whenever you try to fetch the capabilities, if they are not there, we try to like basically refresh them at that time. So we have still the kind of the performance benefit of like having the cache, but also we can recover if somehow we lost the cache. And the other thing is basically trying to not lose the cache is adding error handling. Whenever we are like fetching the capabilities, we are seeing like if we actually got a proper response and then only updating the cache, so we don't again like corrupt the state. So these were mostly the two issues, and you would actually like kind of face this issue when you had a long running Meshery server and while you were not actually authenticating, because you can also run Meshery as a kind of under anonymous user. So some providers expose that so they can have anonymous user sessions and using that feature, you were not directly doing an ad hoc login logout, so you would kind of sometimes the capabilities would get lost and then you won't be able to recover from them. So those two fixes were in this PR, and there's a next enhancement that would be coming to Meshery server is like a way to basically kind of hard code. I think hard code is kind of usually sounds a bad word, but basically like statically defining the capabilities that your Meshery server would have, for the the remote provider would have. So you can put that directly like into your Meshery server as a configuration file. So after that, you won't need to always like have an API call to fetch them. So you can statically have it, and that helps like if you have a custom image of Meshery where you know which provider it's and how what capabilities you are going to have, then you can just use that file rather than having this always this API communication with the provider. So that helps with optimize and also helps with like getting into this kind of situation where we won't have a API. Sorry, we won't have capabilities. Yeah, that's mostly it. So any questions?
Yep, I don't think there's any questions here. So we can move to I think can we Abid, are you done with the this thing, issue?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, we can move on to Aryan Shah. Can you share your screen?
Best work never has any questions because nobody understood what's going on. Darshan, does anybody know? I will.
I was scared. I thought like I again crashed.
Does anybody know what Abid is talking about?
Yeah, I got the part like he's working on like fetching the capabilities apart from only the boot time, and I didn't understand about the how he fixed it with the cache and all, but I got the issue. What was the issue?
What are those capabilities used for? Or like whose whose capabilities, or like what? Yeah, I don't know. It was something to dig into, or like, 'cause that'll give you a much better understanding. Yeah, like what?
Yeah, so just a small update from my side. So I've added the Meshmate badge to the cloud, so now we can use it here for to display on your profile. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Naman, can you go next?
Yes, again. So this is an standing issue from a long time. So the exoscale icon on Meshery playground on canvas is broken. Like it should be in the exoscale theme color, the red orange one. But
Yeah.
exported model doesn't have the color correct. We need to fix that in the catalog. So if anyone is like who wants to work upon a issue on Mesri and can help fix it, can take up this issue. And I think, yeah,
Naman, I think this would be a good issue for Hack to Profess, right?
yeah, it can be.
Yeah, if you could, mention that in description of the issue. I think we can put this under Hack to Profess.
Okay, sure, yeah.
Yeah.
I will update the issue too. Yeah.
Actually, yeah, like if we do that, then you might just basically like copy paste and like the same issue and like but like point to different icon tags, like some public icon picks, and people might like create models for them. So yeah, kind of have multiple issues on the same line. But yeah, this is good.
We can make a template, issue template on that, and we could.
Yeah.
Naman, would you take that up?
Yeah, I can help with that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Up next is Ranit Mukherjee. Would you like to share your screen?
Yeah, nothing to set the screen. I just need Ritesh has done posting, making the public post in regard to Hacktoberfest because Lee asked me to check on that status for the same in the meeting. Can you confirm, Ritesh, if the posts have been done? I saw one post on the Twitter handle for Mr. Lee.
Yeah, I only
Yeah.
did one post. I will do more.
Okay, it's just to follow up on that. Thank you.
Okay.
Like, are we going to make individual posts for all of the speakers? Like,
Yeah, I would encourage all the speakers to share the speakers slide.
yeah.
Like you will be speaking at the event like that,
Yeah, but I mean,
and
like,
share
would
the.
we also officially sharing like from official handles?
Yeah, we should also
Okay.
officially share that.
Yeah, nice. Yeah. And then yeah, then others can share. Yeah.
So, like, currently the status is ki posts on Twitter have been done, but posts on other platform are yet to be done, right?
Yeah, I haven't checked about the LinkedIn.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Okay, up next, Wiley. Would you go next? Do we have Wiley?
No.
Okay,
No,
we have
I
Wiley.
think she was here, but probably dropped. Yeah.
Yeah. I think Babli are at a last minute issue. Would you like to go next?
Uh, Thank you. I'm great. Actually, I'm just listening to PR ready to merge. If anyone would like to take a look, yeah, not more. Maybe I let others also. Yeah.
Okay, this was discussed last week, I guess. Yeah, health props. I think that's the end of our topics today. Just a reminder, I'll talk about Hacktoberfest again for anybody who joined late. So you can go to this link here, which I'll be providing in the Zoom chat again. You can go to the Hacktoberfest event page. We'll be discussing about Hacktoberfest event, the badges you can earn, and we have the links for the live stream, date, time, and all the speakers list here. So we will be conducting a kickoff event on October 3rd.
Sorry to interrupt. The list of speakers, there's only 3 speakers, is that right?
Yeah, 3.
So Ijoma, you're not speaking anymore? She left the call. So Darshan, you're out, and Ijoma is out. Okay. Okay.
Right. And for issues about Hacktoberfest, again, you can go to the issue section in Meshery GitHub and you can look at the Hacktoberfest tags here. There's many of them there, at least 80 plus issues right now for Hacktoberfest. You can feel free to, get asked for assignment, clicking on these issues, and you can work on it as of today. And yeah, if anybody else has any updates, any emergency updates you want to discuss, this is the time for that. You can bring it up now. Okay, I think that's pretty much it about the meet for today. So as always, we conduct this every Wednesday. You can go to the calendar and check out for the other meets that we conduct. Tomorrow we are having a newcomers meet. Please feel free to join. And on Friday, again, we're having Hacktoberfest event. Please join there as well. And we can connect in Slack and talk more about your issues there as well.
Sorry to interrupt, but I'm seeing a different version of the Hacktoberfest website on my laptop. The number of speakers are 5 speakers are mentioned over here.
Okay, you're having many other speakers being shown here.
No, there are more than 3. 5 speakers are there in total.
Okay.
Yeah, I can also see 5, Ijoma and Darshan.
Okay, Ritesh, I think there's an issue on this.
Yeah, I will fix that. Yeah.
Yeah, can you please fix this up? Okay. Can you share the link here, Ritesh? Of the actual,
Yeah, sure.
yeah. Please do that. I'll share it here.
Or it might be just your like browser cache maybe. Or our browser cache.
Let me try
Okay.
that.
Yeah.
Is that the case? Oh, yep, that's me. It's far from my side. So again, sorry for that. We have around, I think this should be, again, Ritesh, name should be
Yeah,
removed.
sure. I will do that.
Please update that. And yeah, this should be the website. Please go here and check it out. Yeah, we'll meet you back in Slack, guys. This is our meet for today. See you guys.